Father Barnabas Powell is pastor of Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene, Greek Orthodox Church of Cumming, Georgia, USA. Here's Father Barnabas with Sunday's homily.
It was springtime in Moscow. It sounds like the start of a joke, doesn't it? No, but it's a story. It was springtime in Moscow, and I don't know if you've ever seen Red Square or been to Red Square, but it's just a huge paved area where cobblestones and so on and so forth. And of course, St. Basil's Cathedral is there as well, and a beautiful place. And the Tsarina was going on with her entourage, and she noticed that coming up through the crack in Red Square, there was a wildflower that had sprung up. And the Tsarina thought that was the most beautiful thing she had seen. Of course, it had been if you've ever been to Moscow in the wintertime, you know, wintertime in Russia is, Lord have mercy. So when you have springtime, this is a wonderful time and a joyous time. And so she saw this flower, and the Tsarina told her guard, she said, post a guard there so that this flower doesn't get trampled upon. And so they obeyed. And the days passed, and the years passed, and a guard was still standing at that spot, long after the flower had gone. And so one day, someone asked the guard, why are you standing here? I don't know. The Tsarina posted a guard here. So we stand, and we guard. What are you guarding? I don't know. The story is purported to be true. I don't really care. It's a great story. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, when you forget the why behind the command, when you forget why you're commanded to do what you're commanded to do, you're always going to eventually become mind-numbed, and you're going to forget why you're doing it, and what you're doing will lose all of its power in your life. Being attentive in your life, being awake in your life, recalling your why, recalling why you do what you do, is the only hope you and I have to honestly and authentically practice our faith with any sincerity or faithfulness. I say all that because my angels, Great Lent is here. Great Lent is here. In the last couple of homilies we've talked to you about how to develop a virtuous life. You will never do the hard work to develop a virtuous life until you remember why a virtuous life is a better life. Why is a virtuous life a better life than he who dies with the most toys wins? Why is a virtuous life a better life when you look at all of these wealthy people? I can't tell you, my daughter, not this one, the other one, but my daughter, yes, I remember, tomorrow's your birthday, all right, but my daughter was looking at some of this stuff on YouTube and looking at all this. She said, Dad, boy, this person owns a house and it has an elevator inside of it. She said, it must be so wonderful to have a house that has an elevator, so rich that you can have an elevator inside it. I said, yeah, but I bet they don't get much exercise. Oh, well, that's not count. But wouldn't it be wonderful? Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, our world sends messages all the time about that wealth equals happiness, or wealth equals ease, or wealth equals success. And to be sure, let me say this about that. Being wealthy or not being wealthy is irrelevant to a virtuous life. I've met rich people who are very virtuous. I've met rich people who are mean as a striped snake. I've met poor people who are very virtuous. And I've met poor people that are mean as striped snakes. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, every ounce of earthly wealth you will ever possess is temporary. Do you understand that? Every ounce of fame, every ounce of acclaim, that you have in your life is temporary. You're going to give it away. The writer of Ecclesiastes said, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. I make all this money to give it to a group of people who aren't grateful." So the reason for a virtuous life must flow from a deeper place than your own personal comfort or even, "I don't want God to be mad at me." That motivation is never going to be strong enough to create a virtuous life in you. If you're afraid of God and afraid that you're going to get in trouble, congratulations, welcome to kindergarten. Eventually, you have to grow up. And your motivation must become something much deeper, much more profound, much more stable, much more life-giving than simply, "Oh, I want to follow the rules so God will be happy with me." That's not enough. And I will show you hundreds of thousands of people who used to be connected to the faith that aren't anymore to prove my point. So we've talked about how to develop a virtuous life, preparing for battle, the battle of Great Lent, entering into the arena of the virtues, and seeing a virtuous life develop in your life, in your marriage, with your relationship with your children, at your job, a virtuous life when you're working, a virtuous life when you're out on the town. Somebody said one time that character is the person who you really are when no one's looking. Isn't that good? Developing a virtuous life regardless of where you are. And we said the first step that we must take in developing a virtuous life is humility. I have to be humble enough to admit I need to do this interior work in my life. And the second homily that we talked about, we said that not only do we need humility, but we need sobriety. We need to sober up. We need to stop being intoxicated by our fears or our elation. We need to stop being so scared of life or so asleep in our life that those things that we are addicted to intoxicate us into a stupor of inattentiveness. We need to be sober. You and I need to sober up. And there's nothing like a good stretch of fasting and prayer and generosity to sober you up to what's truly important in your life. And so this morning we give the final homily on developing a virtuous life, preparing for battle. We're going to step into Great Lent. Next week we have services every day. We have church services every day next week. It's the beginning of Great Lent, folks. We're stepping into the arena. We're unsheathing our sword. We're grabbing our shield. And let's fight. Who are we fighting? When you get home, look in the mirror. If you're going to do this well, if you're really going to come to Pascha prepared to truly celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, you're going to have to enter into this battle. And the final character, the final virtue we must develop if we're going to step into the arena of the virtues and see this spiritual work really do us good and change us and transform us and to make us like Jesus Christ. By the way, there's your why. To make us like Jesus Christ, we're going to not only have to develop humility, not only sobriety, but finally, we must develop mercy. Today is Forgiveness Sunday. In our gospel lesson, Jesus says something that frankly, if it doesn't terrify you, you're too asleep. You're too dead in your soul. If this doesn't terrify you, you're too dead in your soul to claim the name Orthodox. Sorry. If these words don't shake you to your core, if they don't grab you by your soul and shake your soul and wake you up, you're too dead to pretend to be Orthodox. You're not. You may be Greek or Russian or Serbian or whatever, but you're not Orthodox. And these words are, if you don't forgive your brother, your Father in heaven will not forgive you. If you don't forgive your brother, your Father in heaven will not forgive you. Is it because He can't? No. Because, brothers and sisters, a man or a woman who has not developed the virtue of mercy in their life, their ability to forego and forgive and look over the mistakes of others, or even the attacks of others, is not in a place where he or she can receive the forgiveness of God. You will not forgive others, you will not be forgiven. By the way, sometimes I told somebody the other day, I said, it's Forgiveness Sunday. Who do you need to forgive in your life? They started thinking. I said, oh, by the way, don't forget the person that looks at you in the mirror. That person needs forgiveness too. The forgiveness that Jesus Christ talks about today in our gospel lesson is a forgiveness that assumes the best in others. The forgiveness that sets me free from bitterness or anger or grudges that canker my soul and fill and weigh down my spirit with anger and bitterness and suspicion, that cloud my thinking and confuse me and stupefy me into the constant looking for, well, I want what I deserve. No, you don't. No, you don't. Honey, you don't want what you deserve. Trust me. I had a glimpse of what I deserved. I'm not interested. I want mercy. I want God to show me mercy. You do too. You want God to show you mercy, but you'll never see His mercy if you don't extend mercy to others. You were meant to be free, folks, not burdened down with the accounting of everybody's wrongs that they've done against you. Wow, that person, 2 demerits. Put that down in the ledger. Keeping up with all of those grudges is exhausting. Let it go. Forgive. Father, that's very hard. No fake. Why do you think they call it a discipline? Of course it's hard. If you want easy, I almost said something I shouldn't. Never mind. If you want easy, buy a dishwasher. This is hard, folks. Oh, but Father, you just don't realize how hard. Okay, imagine the King of the universe, who knows the sins and brokenness of each one of us, all of the humans who have ever lived. And you know what He says? Forgive them. They know not what they do. This morning on Forgiveness Sunday, you are invited to step into Clean Monday authentically clean. You know, by the way, folks, that one of the things that they do in Greece on Clean Monday, don't you? Let's go fly a kite up where the air... I would love that song so much. They go fly kites on Clean Monday. Why is that? It's light. You're free. You can soar. It's a beautiful image of truly what Clean Monday is all about. Can your soul do that? Or are you weighed down with the memories of past wrongs that others have done against you? Are you weighed down to the ground and lying on the ground burdened with bitterness and anger and resentment? Don't you want to be free? Oh yeah, Clean Monday means we've cleaned out all the dairy and the meat in the house. That's what Clean Monday means. But that's just a symbol, just an icon of the fact that your soul is clean. And your soul is light and free to soar. Don't you want to have that in your life? Aren't you tired of carrying all the memories of everything that people have done against you in your life? Real and imagined, and let's be honest, folks, most of it's imagined. Aren't you ready to be free? Don't you want to be orthodox indeed? This morning, on Forgiveness Sunday, will you please be merciful? Will you please embrace humility? Will you please embrace sobriety? Don't let temporary things make you drunk and blind. Will you please this morning? Will you please forgive me? Please, please forgive me. Amen.
You can follow Father Barnabas on YouTube or on our church website at stsrni.org. Thank you for watching.